Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a psychological horror film, The Good Neighbor. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie starts with a narrator talking about his social experiment conducted that is about changing a person's perspective. Under the premise, a group of people is told that hired strangers will be interfering with their daily lives. This affected the group of people's perspective and behavior in life. However, in reality, there were no hired strangers and their daily lives had carried on with no interaction from hired strangers. Because of that, the experiment proves that a person's perspective can be altered. The narrator says that people always perceive things when they have to look out for them, regardless of whether it is true or not. Suddenly, the scene focuses on a teenager who calls himself the director. The director states his plans for a social experiment prank to an old man whom he calls a hermit. He wants to make the hermit believe that his house is haunted, and he also wants to prove that he can change the hermit's behavior. The following moment, the director starts stocking up on equipment and cameras for their prank. He then introduces his partner that will help with his experiment. After they prepare their equipment, they stake out the hermit's home in a surveillance room. The next morning, they spot the hermit heading out for his groceries, so the duo trespasses and breaks into the hermit's house. Shortly after, they begin their operation by installing surveillance cameras and equipment for the prank. As they install the equipment, they realize that the house is really creepy. The director jokes that there might be a dark secret in his basement somewhere. The director tries to head into the basement, but it is locked. Then the duo continues installing the equipment and worries that the hermit might come back sooner than they expected. Shortly after, they finish setting up the last camera for the living room. Suddenly, the camera zooms out and transitions to a lawyer presenting a camera as evidence in the courtroom. This indicates that the video recording happened in the past. She then states that the duo is responsible for the hermit's death, but how he died is still unclear at this point. The lawyer only says that the death is caused by the experiment they call the Haunting Project. Returning to the past, we see the duo with their girlfriends and they begin explaining the experiment. The girls think that this is similar to reality TV shows. However, they point out that their project is completely real compared to the scripted shows. The girls then ask about the hermit, to which the duo replies that the hermit is a wife-abusing grumpy old man, which leads his wife to leave him. The girl thinks that the rumor is exaggerated and the prank is overkill, but the director insists that the hermit deserves it. The following day, the director starts his first prank he calls Lights Out. This involves the electronics of the hermit's home turning on and off repeatedly. Shortly after, the duo begins the prank as the hermit watches TV. However, the hermit barely reacts to the lights flickering. Seeing that the hermit barely reacts to the prank, the duo become desperate. The duo then decides to activate the emergency service alarm in the house. After a while, a police officer visits the hermit to ask him about the alarm. The hermit is confused because he is unaware that the alarm went off. The duo tries to record the police and the hermit, but there is no audio on the front door where they are talking. The police officer then asks if he would come in to investigate the house. However, the hermit becomes grumpy and refuses the officer's entry. Back to the courtroom in the present, the lawyer asks what the officer saw during the tragedy of the hermit. The cop then explains that he got a call about gunshots in the hermit's house, so he rushed over. Unfortunately, when he got there, the hermit was already dead, and the director was also present at the crime scene. Back to the past, we see the hermit having a visitor. The duo assumes that the guest might be the hermit's ex. However, the hermit is seen in the camera locking the door instead of greeting the guest. The guest leaves as the hermit refuses to meet her. She also drops an envelope in the front door for the hermit. As the guest leaves, the hermit then picks up the envelope, but instead of reading it, the hermit tears it apart. Seeing that there are no good results from the experiment, the duo discusses what they'll do next. His partner insists that they should keep going and the director agrees, but they need to make more intense pranks. Meanwhile, the hermit takes out his trash and he trips on a trash can, so a kind neighbor offers to help him. However, the hermit becomes grumpy and he chases off the neighbor. As the hermit returns home, he grabs a beer. Suddenly, the duo pranks him with banging noises around the house. The hermit follows the noise and realizes that it is coming from the back door. The duo is amazed when the hermit reacts differently to their prank again. Suddenly, we see the hermit get a flashback of his wife. The wife complains about the back door not closing properly and asks if he could fix it. However, the hermit ignores her and she gets frustrated. His flashback ends, and the door prank reminds him of his wife banging the door. The duo sees that the prank is getting more reactions, so they try making the prank more intense. The following night, the hermit wakes up to their prank. He heads over to the noise and sees the front door banging. However, the hermit just stands there. The duo is confused on why he is just menacingly standing there. Suddenly, the hermit moves towards his garage. The director is frustrated that they forgot to put cameras in the garage. And suddenly, they're surprised when the hermit brings back an axe from the garage and he starts breaking the door. This incident excites the director as the experiment is bearing results. However, the partner panics when the hermit stares at the living room camera. He then thinks that the hermit knows and is going after the next. Fortunately, the director points out that the hermit is just looking at a wall near the camera. Suddenly, the hermit begins to move again, and the director orders his partner to follow him. The partner tries to follow him, but loses sight of him. Just then, the duo hears knocking at their door. The partner panics as he thinks that the hermit's targeting them. The director tries to convince him that is not the case and just tells him to record this while he arms himself. They then head to the front door to see if it's the hermit. Fortunately, it is just the partner's father who is picking him up. Back at the surveillance room, the director sees the hermit back in his living room, and the director makes a progress report saying that his experiment is a success. He states that making the hermit feel like he is being haunted is making changes to the hermit's perspective and behavior. After his progress report, he meets with his partner, and they discuss why the hermit suddenly axed the door. The partner theorizes that it might be a symptom from an experiment he learned in the past, where the person is behaviorally conditioned to fear a certain thing if exposed to it. He tells him that the hermit might have had a traumatic experience flashback when he heard the door banging. He then advises the director that they should be careful since they might break the hermit. However, the director thinks his partner is too soft and still decides to continue the experiment. They call their next prank Moonlight Sonata, and the director explains that this prank uses the music player. As the prank starts, the hermit is surprised by the music player. He tries to turn it off, but he fails, so he goes to his bedroom. Suddenly, he gets another flashback, where his wife also plays the music player. The wife is seen trying to enjoy a late-night dance, but the hermit stops her. This angers her, so the hermit tries to calm her down, but she still ends up having a mental breakdown. His flashback ends then, and he decides to go to his basement. The duo then sees him and thinks the hermit is hiding something in the basement. However, the partner just tells him not to bother the basement, despite it being a worthy scoop. However, the director insists on figuring out the basement's secret. He also tells his partner that this will give them fame, and he always wanted to be famous. That is why he is doing this experiment. The following day, the partner wakes up the director, and he tells him the hermit has been staying in the basement for 7 hours after their prank. This makes the director suspicious, and he plans his next prank. He then introduces the fourth prank he calls the cold spots. This prank mimics a ghost's aura with chemicals that can drop the temperature in the hermit's bedroom while he sleeps. As they begin this prank, they're caught by the director's mom and get scolded for the experiment. As a result, they stop the prank as she scolds the director. In the present, the lawyer asks the director's mom about her involvement in the experiment. She replies to the lawyer that she was unaware of it at that time. The lawyer then questions her negligence and eventually asks if she was ever concerned about her son's experiment. The mom replies that she has been concerned. She adds that she was also concerned if his son had her husband's gun that time. Back to the day of the incident, the hermit notices the temperature drop because of the prank, and he tries to turn up the heater. Suddenly, the window of the bedroom shatters because of the chemicals. Then the hermit gets another flashback, where his wife was returning from the hospital while he heats a freezing bedroom. The following day, the duo notices that when the hermit is disturbed, he goes to the basement and they think there is a secret there. So they call the police, and they say that a woman is screaming in the basement of the hermit's home. When the police officer arrives, he asks the hermit to let him in and check if this report is true. The hermit allows him to enter, and after seeing his basement, the officer leaves. The director then becomes desperate, trying to make the hermit look evil, and he badly wants to break into the basement. However, his partner thinks he is going overboard, and they argue. In the present courtroom, his partner reveals that this experiment is just for the director's revenge. The partner states that in the past, the hermit saved the director's mom from the abuse of her alcoholic husband, and that led to his father being jailed, leaving his family broken. The partner thinks his friend holds the hermit responsible for destroying his family. Back to the past, the duo reconcile, and the director sets up a Halloween party. The partner and his girlfriend join the party. However, the director uses their cameras to spy on them. This angers the partner, and he asks the director to hand over his equipment. The director says that he shares ownership of the equipment, so the director refuses to return it. He also blackmails his partner that he is recording his girlfriend with his camera, since the partner's fingerprint is also on it. The director also taunts his partner that they should finish the prank or else he'll bring them both down. The following day, the duo continue arguing, and suddenly, the hermit's cat topples the living room camera and catches their attention. Wanting to avoid getting caught, the director sneaks in at night to collect the toppled camera, and he brings his father's gun with him. To his surprise, he sees that the basement door is unlocked, so he checks it out despite his partner's plea not to. There, the director sees that the hermit made a shrine for his wife. The director realizes that she didn't divorce the hermit and just simply passed away. Then it is revealed that the wife passed away from sickness, and that the hermit regrets not treating her right in the past. The director then sees a bell near the shrine, which is a gift from the hermit's late wife. The director rings it accidentally, so the hermit wakes up in bed and he prepares a gun. The director panics as he hears the hermit heading over to him. The director rushes upstairs and leaves the bell on a table as he hides in the living room. The hermit stops midway towards the basement as he sees the bell. Because all those pranks resemble his wife's image, he is convinced that the bell is his wife calling him over to come with her in the afterlife. So he shoots himself. The director panics and then calls his partner to clean this messed up. However, the officer catches them with the gun and arrests them. It is then revealed in a series of flashbacks that the hermit was a good neighbor. However, when he neglected his wife, she started breaking down physically and mentally. Then he became grumpy as he regrets his treatment of her. The bell is also revealed to be a promise that the hermit will follow his wife anywhere that is wrong. From all the pranks that resembled his wife, it makes sense why he thinks that she wants him to die. His wife's friend was also revealed to be the guest that is preventing him from committing suicide for a long while. After the hearing, the duo is charged with 2 years of probation and 500 hours of community service. As they leave the courthouse, reporters flock to the duo. Also, the girlfriends of the duo realize they are spying on the girls, so they dump them both. However, aside from the partner's remorse, the director shows a smirk on his face as his experiment gained him attention and fame, which he always wants to achieve. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.